is going to the Final Four.
The following is a Learfield presentation of the Oregon Sports Network.
And Oregon is going to play in the national championship game.
Big Ten champions. Big Ten champs.
National champions, yes.
Oklahoma City bound the Oregon Ducks.
Awesome day to be a Duck, man.
Boom inside. Touchdown Oregon. He gets loose. Fires. Hit. Pops the three. Oh, yeah. It's all Oregon.
This is Duck Insider. Duck Insider.
It's about how to be a group of people that know how to love each other to the absolute fullest.
Pleasure, joy to be with them each and every day, and I can't wait for the future.
It's just fun to be a part of a community that cares, that is passionate, and when we come together, powerful things can happen.
This is Duck Insider on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield, presented by OnPoint Community Credit Union. People are the point. Now let's go live to the Country Financial Studio to talk Oregon Duck athletics.
A lot to get ready for today because Oregon women's basketball is on the road getting ready for a Friday tip-off. The Ducks taking on a good Virginia Tech team with a 10:30 tip, a 10 a.m. pregame show with Chris Clayton coming up on Friday. With the NCAA tournament and all of the postseason, that means we won't have Duck Insider on Thursday and Friday because Chris has women's basketball postseason for you coming up with that 10 a.m. pregame show on Friday. Kelly Graves talked with Chris Clayton before they traveled to Austin, Texas for their regional. We've also got Jess Drummond, Oregon Lacrosse head coach, coming up today. And I mentioned the postseason for basketball. That means that the spring sports are starting to get into conference season. Oregon baseball hosting a good Northwestern club this weekend after finals week here at the University of Oregon. The Ducks are actually back on the baseball diamond to practice after a couple days off today. Mark Wasikowski and some Ducks meeting with the media. And we also have a number of updates from Oregon football as we continue to chat with a couple coordinators for the Ducks in Chris Hampton and Drew Maringer. Let's begin, though, with Kelly Graves. A part of our Toyota Coaches Show series, Kelly Graves talking with Chris Clayton, getting ready for postseason. March Madness officially here. Kelly Graves with Chris Clayton.
Head coach of the NCAA tournament-bound Oregon Ducks, it's Kelly Graves in studio. Coach, what's that like on Selection Sunday, getting your name called every year?
You know, you should never take it for granted. That's what I tell the team. It never gets old hearing your name on there. Even though we knew we were going to be in the field, it's still something special, magical, and you know, you look at Division I, there's about 300 teams that aren't in the tournament.
Right.
So, you know, it's still a real special thing, and, you know, we're excited to be there.
Yeah, you got the 8 seed. You knew you were going to be in, and you went through the gauntlet of Big Ten play this season. Yeah. How do you feel like being in such a difficult conference? They got 12 teams in. Has prepared you now for March Madness?
Well, it certainly prepared us because we've seen every kind of style. We've gone against great coaches, great talent, great teams. We've had a lot of close games. Some we won, some we lost. You know, yeah, I mean, to think that we have a better seed in the NCAA tournament than we did in the Big Ten tournament shows you how strong our conference is, and the fact that we got 12 teams in, the most of any conference now for the second year in a row, you know, is a testament to how good our league is, and I think that league is going to prepare all of us for the NCAA.
You've already played a few games now in March Madness. We haven't spoken in studio here since the Big Ten tournament. How about that? You won a couple games, beat Maryland again, a really good team, and that experience has to help your young players get some confidence for tournament play, right?
Well, certainly, yeah. That was, you know, it was a good run. The game against Maryland, you know, unfortunately, it knocked them out of hosting. They were among the top 4 seeds, but yeah, I felt really good about, you know, our effort there, especially our 2 sophomores. You know, really had an outstanding tournament. I think he's had 3 double-doubles, and Katie played really, really well herself. So it was, you know, particularly, I think, important for those 2 because, you know, they've been our best players throughout the year, but I thought everybody else stepped up. And just anytime you see, you know, you get wins in the postseason, it helps you. It helps you mentally, you know, in your confidence. And so we, you know, hope to keep that kind of that magic going. I'd love to win at least 2 in this tournament.
Yeah.
You know, then, you know, we're really doing something.
We're still early in the week here, but as the 8 seed, you're taking on the 9 seed Virginia Tech. It'll be played in Austin, Texas. But right now, what do you know about Virginia Tech that's going to make it a challenging game?
Yeah, very little. I watched a few of their games last night. They're playing well. they've got good depth like us. I think they have 9 players that are averaging double-figure minutes, and they've got 6 or 7 players that are averaging 8 or more points, including, 2 stars. Carly Wenzel's their leading scorer, and I remember her well. I know the family. We recruited her back in the day, and they're just solid. They're good on the boards. They take care of the ball. That's definitely one of their strengths. They don't turn people over a ton, but they really play similarly to us, quite frankly, and I think it's a good matchup between the two of us. And it's not one of those where we've got to play great and they have to have an off night or vice versa. I think we're pretty evenly matched, as we should be in an 8-9 game.
Right.
And the team that plays better on Friday is going to win the game.
You mentioned they take care of the ball really well, one of the best in the ACC, which is a tough conference. And part of your bread and butter this year has been forcing turnovers. So how do you make a team that's very strong with the ball uncomfortable and speed them up and force some turnovers?
Well, that's the tricky part, isn't it?
Right.
That's what we're going to try and do. I think we're better when we're playing that 3/4 court, trapping defense. It's not high pressure. What we try to do is be in correct spots and take advantage of mistakes they might make. Make them make the mistake. We're not actually out trying to make them make the mistake. So, and then what that does, when we're on point defensively, that makes us a better team offensively because we're really good in transition. Our half court sometimes comes and goes offensively, but certainly in our transition, we're a lot better. So that's what we're going to try and do. At this point in the season, defense will carry the day, right? The better defensive teams are usually the ones that advance, and I do think that our defense has been pretty strong this year, by and large, and that's what we're going to be counting on.
The matchup with Virginia Tech Friday at 10:30 a.m., so get to set your alarms, I guess, drink some coffee, and get ready for that matchup for Duck fans. The game will be played in Austin, Texas. If you can beat Virginia Tech, a matchup with the Longhorns. I know you're not looking ahead to Texas, but there's always ties to Texas, it feels like, every year. Sammy Wagner and Amina Muhammad, both from Texas. Is pretty cool to go back to their home states.
Well, certainly, and we're 2-0 in Texas this year.
Yes.
We went down and won that tournament around Thanksgiving time, and so we've seen success in the area. Mm-hmm. That absolutely means nothing, but it's something to at least throw out there. Yeah, the fact that Amina is at home, I think, is really special. She's going to obviously and she has a big family. Mm-hmm. They're going to be out in force, and to get Sammy back there, I think, is important. We don't want to look ahead, certainly, but Vic and I have had a nice, good relationship, a competitive relationship over the years. Not since he's been at Texas, but when he was at Mississippi State. Mm-hmm. He's a great coach, and I'm excited to go to Austin. I don't know if you've been to Austin.
I haven't. I'm excited too.
It's kind of a pretty cool, fun city.
Yeah.
And not that we're going to be doing anything fun. It's a business trip for us, but you can go out and have some fun.
Yeah, maybe.
I'm really looking forward to it. I think it's going to be a great pod, and they're going to be awesome hosts.
And you think back to last year, you made the trip all the way out to Durham, North Carolina. A lot of success there, taking down Vanderbilt, very nearly beating Duke. And you have a young team. Ahisa Tute and Katie Fiso were kind of role players on that team. Can you take anything from last year's success? Do you think that they can take some of that here to this season?
No doubt. No doubt. You remember Katie had a really good first game in that NCAA. That was kind of a coming out party for her. And, and so the experience will help, but also the inexperience. They don't really know what it's like, to have a bigger role. So I'm really looking forward to it. I think our team is ready. Honestly, 2.5 months of playing Big Ten basketball will prepare us. And I've told the team several times, the conference has prepared us for this moment. And so it's invaluable. It's not like some of these teams that play in conferences where they just, roll everybody, and then they get to that next step up, and it's like, whoa, right? We're used to it. We're used to this competition. We played plenty of teams that are, similar to Virginia Tech, a really good basketball team. I'm excited to just get this thing going.
Yeah. Obviously appreciate the diehard Duck fans that have been locked into every game. But maybe there's some Duck fans out there that are like, oh, this is cool, and they start paying attention a little bit more. If you could describe it to them, what's been the biggest evolution of this team this year?
Well, I think you saw it in the Big Ten tournament. I think we're tougher. You know, I think our roles are certainly more defined. One of the big strengths of our team is we have different players that on given nights elevate us to victory, right? And we're fortunate in that way. Think of the number of different players who've led us in scoring this year. Certainly our young players like Ahis and Katie, they're so much better now than they were in November and December. I mean, you can say that about really everybody, but those two in particular, I think, have really elevated their game, and consequently, they've elevated our team. You know, we have long wings that are starting to really show how good, you know, they can be. So you look at Sophia Bell and Avery Kane and Ari Long, some length out on the perimeter, and all three of those are playing well. And on given nights, as we saw, you know, with Avery the other night and Sophia against Maryland, and Ari, you know, she's had those spike games. You know, it makes us dangerous. It really does. We've got to get, I think, consistent inside play. Once we get, you know, we start to play in this tournament, we've got to step that up a little bit. And because everybody's going to have excellent inside players, and we've got to be able to match that. He does what she can, but she's 6 foot, you know, and she's going to be going against some giants. So we'll see how we respond there. But I'm going to challenge our inside players: Sarah Rambis, Amina Muhammad, Philippa Tilliander, Sammy. You know, those players inside to say, hey, we need you. We need you. I think Mia Jacobs is getting healthier and healthier. We really need a healthy Mia Jacobs and a productive Mia Jacobs that we've seen for a good portion of the year. Obviously, it's tailed off toward the end because of injuries. But when we get this thing rolling, we can be a pretty good basketball team. And I'm excited that, you know, we're the only team from Oregon in the NCAA tournament, men or women. So hopefully the entire state will rally around the Ducks, even though they may not be Ducks, and we need those good vibes to carry us forward.
Well, and beyond this year, just in your career, it's a pretty amazing stat I found. There's only been one 10 seed to ever make the Elite Eight in women's basketball. Oregon 2017. There's only been one 11 seed to ever make the Elite Eight. Gonzaga 2011. What's the common denominator between those two teams? Kelly Graves was the head coach.
Ask me how many points I scored in any of those runs. None. How many rebounds do they have? None. I've been fortunate to have some really good players over the year, and the other way to look at that is maybe I had better talent than a 10 or 11 seed. Maybe we should have won more in the regular season and been a better seed, but yeah, we've won. I know Jody and I together, you know, as coaches, and it's not about the coaching certainly, but we've won, I think, 10 games as a double-digit seed. Now, we're not a double-digit seed this year, but so I think we know how to navigate the NCAA tournament as not a top seed, so to speak. So, but it's going to take everything we have to be able to beat the Hokies.
Yep.
And then hopefully have a chance at that next game.
It's Friday, 10:30 a.m. Ducks, Hokies. Coach, best of luck. Another NCAA tournament run ahead.
All right. Yeah, thank you. Go Ducks.
KG, Kelly Graves, getting ready for that 10 a.m. pregame show. 10:30 tip on ESPN2, Oregon women's basketball in the NCAA tournament. I love that perspective of just it never gets old, does it? Because it doesn't ever get old. To hear that name called, outstanding. Oregon and Virginia Tech. Good matchup. All right, when we return, Oregon Lacrosse into the heart of Big Ten play now. Jess Drummond is going to join us on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
This is Meditating with Jan from Toyota. Soften your focus and imagine yourself off-roading in a Tacoma. Breathe in, breathe out, and go from dreaming it to driving it today. That's Jan's meditation.
Toyota, let's go places.
As a local community credit union founded by teachers, OnPoint is committed to supporting the students and faculty at the University of Oregon. And on game day, we're right there with you, on the field, in the bleachers, and in the classrooms. Drop by one of your local branches today and discover the many ways OnPoint can help support your financial well-being. OnPoint Community Credit Union. People are the point. Federally insured by NCAA. Equal housing opportunity.
This is Meditating with Jan from Toyota. Soften your focus and imagine yourself off-roading in a Tacoma. Breathe in, breathe out, and go from dreaming it to driving it today. That's Jan's meditation.
Toyota, let's go places.
This is Duck Insider, presented by OnPoint Community Credit Union on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
This message is for Shauna, my mom who just finished her high school diploma. I wanted to say I'm so proud of you for finishing school. You told me it's never too late to achieve your dreams. I hope to make you as proud as you have made me.
When you graduate, they graduate. Finish your high school diploma for you and for them. Visit finishyourdiploma.org to find free and supportive adult education centers near you. Brought to you by the Dollar General Literacy Foundation and the Ad Council.
Don't act like that. Don't wear that. Don't think that. I've heard everything you tell yourself every time you felt different. And I want you to know that you can be vulnerable and powerful. That taking care of your mind is taking care of everyone you love and who loves you. Love your mind. Find mental health resources at loveyourmindtoday.org. Brought to you by the Huntsman Mental Health Institute and the Ad Council.
Presented by OnPoint Community Credit Union. Joey Mack and Jess Drummond is in the Country Financial Studio. A little bit of behind the broadcast. Coach Drummond decked out in green yesterday for St. Patty's Day.
Correct.
Well done by you.
Thank you.
I just had to say that because we had a discussion on the air, or off the air, I should say. I had to say it on the air because, you know, you've got a lot of good green attire in the closet, don't you?
Yes, so much. Yeah. Great shades. I feel like over the years, you know, you talk about some retro pieces, like it used to be a dark green.
Yep.
It's a great St. Patty's color.
I've asked you
some bright green.
I've asked you this a little bit before,
I
but
know.
like you've got some of the dark green still.
Yes, I do. Yes, I do.
Good.
Yeah, and the team dressed up for St. Patty's yesterday.
Did they?
Yes.
What does that entail?
Somebody dressed in a full leprechaun outfit. Had a gold
Really?
skirt, had the beard, had the hat. Yep, I posted on my Instagram yesterday.
Well
it was
done.
Fantastic. People painted their hair green, glitter everywhere. It was awesome.
You need to shout out the Insta handle because it's
Duck
very
Drummond.
great.
Duck Drummond.
Duck Drummond.
Yep.
Duck Drummond.
Yeah, it's cute.
It's good branding by you.
Yeah, thanks.
Smart.
Yeah.
Smart. Coming off a tough one against number 3 Maryland.
Yes.
We want to break that down, but maybe can we start, Coach, and zoom out because it's the beginning of Big Ten play. What's the assessment of the Big Ten? Like, how good is this conference right now?
Real good.
Really
like some of the best in the country for sure.
Yeah.
You know, rooting for them to, you know, keep going. But it's awesome. Again, like we're playing Maryland number 3. Like that's crazy. They're on our schedule every year. We get to play somebody that good. And
there's like 3 teams from the Big Ten right now in the top 10.
Yes.
There's almost every team is ranked.
Yep.
That's the way it's been.
Yep, exactly. So it's great for us. We get to measure ourselves against the top 10 programs in the country, and we get to play them every year. And, you know, thinking back to Maryland, we were pretty even with some stats, and that just shows, you know, Maryland's experience, their 20-plus program of just continuously being amazing. And for us to have those opportunities against them, you know, it was great. We scored 7 goals, and I think we had a couple other opportunities where we could have finished more. But again, like in those moments, we just continue to grow and learn how to be thriving in high pressure scenarios like that.
And you talk about finishing, and
Yeah.
my mind goes to experience and like gaining experience. Is the only way to learn how to finish just to finish? I don't know. Like I know that sounds like a really odd and kind of dumb question, but seriously, like the experience base, how do you go about that as a coach to gain that experience?
Yeah, and again, like we're so grateful to be in the Big Ten Conference. We have that every year when we play them, and we talk about trying to put them in high pressure situations in practice where it's competitive, you know, make it or there's a consequence. And so I think just kind of trying to put them into that mental capacity of like, can I finish the shot when it's like on the line?
Right.
So just trying to continue to implement that. But I think those moments come with experience. And, you know, we have a lot of players that have returned back from injuries this year, which is awesome. So we're getting healthier. But again, just letting them play together, gel as a unit, continue to grow. And we saw that with some of our movement on attack. Like the looks were there, our shots were there, just finishing them, you know, especially when we're seeing these really good goalies.
Well, you talk about getting a little bit healthier, more on that in a moment, but we've also talked before, too, about you never know when an opportunity is going to be thrust upon you. You had a situation where that occurred against Maryland. Tell fans a little bit about that.
Hazel Baker, yes, shout out to her. Super awesome. You know, she's a sophomore. She had been playing midfield for us last year, and our depth is kind of lacking on attack, so we kind of just shifted her down for an attacker last week, and an opportunity came up in the game, and she got an assist and got a great look on Cage. And so we're like, that's exactly what we're looking for out of those moments of like being able to come in and take advantage of your opportunity and rise to that challenge.
Well, and how about, I'd imagine, right, the team aspect, like changing a role like that can be difficult.
Yeah,
can't it?
yeah, right. You know, and we talk about all the time, you know, take advantage of your opportunities. And right now we're pretty slim on the attacking end. We've got really strong middies, and so finding an opportunity of where you can contribute for this program.
But you touched on, though, getting a little bit healthier.
Yeah.
You're starting to have a little more rhythm in your rotation, right?
Yeah. It was super awesome to have kind of those core attackers like playing together, getting stronger, getting that experience, you know, and just continue to work together, which is great.
How important is it to play together? Like, again, I know that sounds like a little bit of a dumb question, but like, how important is that in your sport? That
it's
chemistry?
Huge. It's huge, that chemistry. You know, we talk about on defense too, just you're working with the same people. You know what their tendencies are. You know what their strengths are, what you need to kind of help compensate if there's need, if that's necessary on the field. And so the same for attackers and middies of just having that gel of like what you can kind of anticipate on game day.
So coming off a matchup against Maryland, it's now a finals week. Academic focus, and then Saturday, Northwestern, number 11 team in the country, comes to town. What do you know about Northwestern? What's the report?
They're great, but they're on a losing streak right now, and we can.
How about that?
How about that?
Number 11 team in the country and on a losing streak. Yeah, look, I'm just telling you, like that puts it in context how good this conference has been. What do they do well? What's the scouting report?
Oh my God, they are probably one of the strongest attackers. Like just top points. I believe a bunch of them have the highest points in our conference, and just they go all gas. They never stop. So that's great for us to face. That's great for us to try to have that competition, that chaotic look, because I think that sets us up nicely for Ohio State, who's another team that's all gas. So
and that's on the road coming up next week. We've got more on that coming up. What does that do for your defense? Like, how do you approach that defensively when it's go constant?
Yeah, you know, I think it gets them you have to be locked in. You have to be focused. You know, like defense just knows you do not get an off time. Like there's no opportunity to kind of switch it off on defense, especially when the attack has the ball, especially when Northwestern has that ball against you. And so I think it's just going to put a little bit more pressure on them to come up with the ground balls, to get any loose ball opportunity, and to force that kind of chaos on them so that they do feel that sense of like urgency to have to like rush a shot or take a shot from outside the 8-meter, which they will sometimes do if the pressure is pretty hard on them.
Oregon Lacrosse 6-3 now into Big Ten play. Number 11 Northwestern at noon on Saturday. Pups at Pape. Tell us more.
I'm just so
You're
excited.
so excited.
I'm so excited.
just smiling.
I was like, wait, can I play with the puppies during the game, or do
You brought puppies to practice, right?
We did. We did a little promo yesterday, so some puppies came out to practice at the end of practice, and it was so cute, so cute. So yes, come adopt a dog. Bring your own dog. Yeah, I wish I could bring my dog, but she would be just too chaotic.
Really?
Yes, that 70-pound crazy gal.
Look, you know.
Yeah, she would probably run all over the field.
But
like,
still
oh boy.
like the unofficial official team mascot, right?
Yes, they love her.
100%.
Yes, for sure.
I would imagine that fetch with a lacrosse stick is really something.
Yeah.
Right?
I've really mastered that chuck it, though, I think, because of my wrist strength. Like
that makes sense.
Yes, yeah.
Right, that makes sense. That makes sense.
That
but
thing is great.
Pups at Pape, you've got a ton of opportunities to adopt some dogs from the area, and you know that the Oregon lacrosse team is going to be excited to have some puppies at the ballpark.
Yes, of course.
Right. Now, and I don't want to just limit it to pups, because it would, in fact, be you can take the full large size 70-pound dog too.
Yeah. Yeah. All dogs are welcome. Yes.
All dogs welcome.
I highly appreciate any dog that comes to Pape.
Northwestern noon. You can watch on Big Plus, but you should just make it out to Pape. It's supposed to be beautiful weather this weekend. Northwestern is in town. Some key success for your team. What do you want to see this week?
You know, I'd love to see us finish in those moments of chaos of like, you know, it's going to be high pressure scenarios. It is going to be a challenge. Like every ball matters. So I think just rising to that challenge, and I think seeing us play against Maryland, we've really stepped it up and continue to raise that standard of how we show up on game day.
Oregon Lacrosse, noon on Saturday. Thank you.
Here we go.
Coach Drummond, Jess Drummond with us. And I really just want to say I think that all pups could come to Pape.
Yes. I hope all pups come to Pape.
But your pup.
Oh,
your
no,
pup.
she's not coming.
Oh.
If Ben wants to, Ben can, but I'm not controlling that beast on
You got
game
a few
day.
other things to do.
Yeah.
You got a few other things to do. I get it. I understand. Oregon lacrosse season continues. We'll talk with Coach Drummond again coming up next week. Thank you, Coach. Appreciate it. Timeout. When we return, Oregon baseball getting ready for a matchup against Northwestern as well. Keep it here on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
As a local community credit union founded by teachers, OnPoint is committed to supporting the students and faculty at the University of Oregon. And on game day, we're right there with you, on the field, in the bleachers, and in the classrooms. Drop by one of your local branches today and discover the many ways OnPoint can help support your financial well-being. OnPoint Community Credit Union. People are the point. Federally insured by NCAA. Equal housing opportunity.
When life blindsides you with an injury, you need a team that's tough. For over 30 years, Morgan & Morgan has been fighting for the people. This season, we're proud to partner with Oregon Athletics. Because whether it's on the field or in the courtroom, we're both determined to do what it takes to win. Morgan & Morgan, proud partner of Oregon Athletics. Injured? Dial pound law. Morgan & Morgan, 10150 Southwest 6th Avenue, Portland. Prior results do not guarantee a similar outcome.
More Duck Insider coming up on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
I'm a pretty great multitasker. I can wash dishes and do laundry. I can roller skate while walking my dog. I can even order lunch while doing my homework. But I can't use my phone while driving. A distracted driver is one of the leading causes of death in the United States. So when it comes to driving, please, don't be a multitasker.
Don't drive distracted. A message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, and the Ad Council.
Adoption of teens from foster care is a topic not enough people know about, and we're here to change that. I'm April Dinwiddie, host of the new podcast, Navigating Adoption, presented by Adopt US Kids. Each episode brings you compelling real-life adoption stories told by the families that live them with commentary from experts. Visit adoptuskids.org/podcast or subscribe to Navigating Adoption, presented by Adopt US Kids. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services Administration for Children and Families and the Ad Council.
We continue on Duck Insider, presented by OnPoint Community Credit Union. You're going to hear from Chris Hampton coming up in just a little bit. If you're live with us in the 1 o'clock hour, Mark Wazakowski just met with the media. The Ducks took a few days off after the Sunday come-from-behind win to sweep the series and now get ready to face the Northwestern team beginning at 4 o'clock on Friday as Big Ten play continues for Oregon baseball. Mark Wazakowski, the Oregon head coach, met with the media talking about the weekend that was, the week that is, and the week that's upcoming. Oregon baseball head coach Mark Wazakowski.
All right, Coach. Of course, you're not happy when your team falls down early in a ball game and have to dig their way out of a hole coming towards the back end of those innings. But how satisfied with you, or how they kind of stayed focused on maybe the game plan and were able to battle back and ultimately win that game for you guys?
Yeah, I mean, it's a 9-inning game, and so sometimes you're not ahead early, and you can regain the lead. You just want to play 9 innings. And we didn't feel like we came out on Sunday and played great at the start, and then played well enough to win the game by the end of the game, which is good. That it shows a mental toughness and a kind of stick-to-itiveness to where, guys just kept right on grinding all the way through, and we were able to come out with a win when we didn't play our best at the start.
Now, what was it in those beginning innings that you felt like that got you guys off to that slow start?
Well, I didn't think we pitched the ball worth a darn in the first couple of innings, and that, carried over onto the defensive side. I don't think we played great defense at the start of that game, and I thought our at-bats were okay at the beginning, but I think we sustained good at-bats throughout the game. Our defense really improved, specifically at third base. Drew didn't do anything wrong early in the game, but I'll tell you what, he did a lot right from the third inning on. He didn't get challenged much at the beginning, but by and large, our infield defense has been really good. But still yet, I thought that there were some things from a PFP standpoint that got away from us at the beginning of the game, and just overall tempo and effectiveness with pitching at the beginning of the game was subpar. So, it's something that happened, but then our bullpen work was tremendous to be able to hold us intact, to be able to have a chance to win that game. Didn't give up any runs. They scored 2 runs each of the first 3 innings, and then after that, they got nothing. So I was really happy with the bullpen work. I was really happy with the way the mood shifted basically on the defensive side of the ball and their resiliency to win the game.
Now that early pitching struggles, do you feel like that was a residual effect of your normal starter being out that day with the flu?
I don't have any idea. I mean, whoever gets the ball is expected to perform, and if they're in our uniform, they're good enough to perform.
Waz, can you speak to, just at this point in the season, the bullpen, though, just on a larger scale, guys like Tanner, like Mike Mechna that we're going to talk to today, just the bullpen in general, what you've seen from them this year?
They're an inexperienced group, right? Our team's inexperienced. I mean, we lost two-thirds of the home runs that were hit last year aren't on our roster right now, and half the wins at least aren't on our roster anymore. And so, making that up is our task this year, right? That's our 2026 team. And so, for us, it's really important to recognize that and then try to help them with it, put them in roles where they can be successful, taste success. And I think we're starting to get to a point where we can do that. Obviously it's just the start of this thing. We're 20 games in, college baseball season, what is that? A quarter of the way through, basically, the third of the way through almost the regular season, quarter of the way through, hopefully the regular or of the full season. So, I'm pleased with their growth. I'm pleased with their development. I look for more of that. There's definitely the ability. And as they get more comfortable in game situations, I think you'll see better performances.
Keeping on the theme of bullpen pitching, talking about advantageous situations, when your starters give a quality start out in front of a bullpen, just how advantageous can that make the situations that your guys in the back end are walking into?
Well, they don't need to throw as many innings, so that's a big deal, when you get a good start. So obviously you want, the way it's written up is get quality starts, every single day. It doesn't always happen, though. And so when it doesn't happen, either credit to their team or maybe a discredit to the pitching effort that you had. Either way, bottom line is when the pitching doesn't rise to the occasion at the beginning of the game for a good start, then your bullpen needs to pick them up. And it's not always going to be perfect. It's not ice skating. We're not judged on scores and style points and stuff like that. We're just judged by the end of the day on whether you won or not.
For this week, Waz, when you have no midweek game and there's an academic focus with finals week, just can you tell us a little bit about what your focus is from a coaching perspective? When you have a little extra practice time, some things to work on maybe here this week.
Yes, and we do and we don't. From an academic side, this week we took 2 days off this week from the academic side, Monday and Tuesday. Traditionally, you only take a Monday off. We take 2 days during finals per the request of the academic side of the river, and I understand that. And so today will be our first practice of the week. We haven't seen our guys since Sunday. And so, today's interest is real simple. Yes, tighten up a lot of the things that we didn't love this weekend and continue to do the things that we do love our club with what we're seeing, the routines that are leading to success. But I think specifically the theme of this week is basically to get them back to their minds being on baseball. Because, if their mind's on calculus or chemistry or physics, and they're not thinking about baseball. So the first thing that we're going to do today, as soon as weights rolls around today, is really get them focused back on crushing a lift and nailing that lift. And then nailing practice today, and getting their minds right with that. So it'll be a very intense practice today. Less intense tomorrow with it being the day before a game. But it'll still be a very thorough practice tomorrow to be able to address the things that we need to address.
Yeah, Coach, and just going back a little bit, you talked about finding some of that hitting that you guys lost from last year's team. Someone who stepped up for you guys so far has been freshman Angel Laya. Yeah. What have you liked from his early play in the season and how he's been a steady bat for you guys?
Yeah, good question. Angel just doesn't look like a freshman. He looks old. I think, Drew Smith's probably had a lot to do with Angel's success. He's sitting right in front of him in the order, and there's a lot to be said for how places in the order and guys around each other work together and rub off on one another. So I think Drew's really helped Angel with his success this year. But Angel's a really talented player, right? I mean, he was a really talented player out of high school. He got a very sizable professional offer from several teams, bypassed it to come to Oregon, and we're thankful he did. So, I mean, we felt like coming into the season, we had pieces to be able to replace the pieces that we lost from a year ago. We thought it'd be different. It'd be a different look, and you're seeing a different look. We're still able to hit the ball over the fence because we're physical, and we got guys with bat speed. But at the same point in time, I think we've got a little bit more of a balanced approach this year where we can score in a lot of ways.
Coach, last week you guys, I think, hit 3 410-plus foot home runs, and Drew Smith, after Sunday's game, was just talking about the culture in the weight room and the programs that Darryl Hunter has for the team. Could you just talk a little bit about that and just the pride the team takes in being in the weight room?
Yeah, it's the first thing I said in the first press conference that I had at the University of Oregon is we were going to get physical. And so you got to recruit people that have that same interest in mind. And then you put them in a structure where they really, for example, I mean, they feed us daily here at the Hatfield Allen Complex. Great meals. I mean, just an unbelievable setup here. And those meals aren't optional. Those are mandatory meals. And it goes hand in hand, right? So the meals, that's fueling the body. But then the work in the weight room, that's going to add towards velocity, towards power, towards quick twitch. But it's only part of it. And so if they don't get their sleep and they don't get their rest and nutrition piece of it, something's going to fall out. And so we really try to have a thorough program when it comes to all those aspects of it. And we, fortunately, Mr. Mullins agrees with that and, has helped us be able to have a program like that isn't free.
Ryan, go ahead.
A big theme of this season has kind of been inexperience throughout the order in different roles. But to lean on your experience on Sunday, especially offensively, when the offense is struggling and then Ryan Cooney opens things up with a bases clearing double and Dominic Hellman starts to get things going late and Maddox Maloney and Drew Smith start off the ninth. Just how can you lean on that experience to help out guys like an Angel Laya and the rest of your offense?
Well, when things aren't going great, that's when the experienced guys, it's their time to shine, right? That's when they should look at it and say, this is our time. If a younger, more inexperienced player is stumbling and stuff like that, that's going to happen in college athletics, baseball. When that happens, it's the job of the older guy to jump in there and supply what he brings to the table. And their superpowers are the fact they've been through it. When real simple, Dom Hellman had a couple of bad at-bats at the beginning of the game the other day on Sunday, and I talked to him between at-bats, and actually his third at-bat was much better than his first two, but still not a great result, but much better approach. And I looked at him after his third at-bat, and I said, Dom, you've been in Super Region. You've been the best player in really challenging venues in Super Regionals and risen the occasion there. You're going to rise the occasion today, and you're going to help us get this one done. You're going to be a big factor in today's game and you getting this one done for us. And same thing went for Ryan and Drew and Max. So oddly, or not oddly, I guess, the older guys were the difference maker in that game. In addition to, even though like guys like, Michael Mechna, he's not necessarily an old dog in the program, but he kind of is. He's been here for an entire full season, and now he's halfway or a quarter of the way through his second season. And his experience before he got here, guys like that, that are on the circuit, they're playing in area code baseball. They're playing in venues where there's, 300, 400, 500 scouts in the stands. And so, once they realize they've already done all that kind of stuff and, and what we're asking them to do, it really doesn't compare to some of the things they've already done at earlier times in their life. Once they actually really realize that, they get over sometimes some of their insecurities or the inexperience or whatever you want to call it, and they just realize they've already been here, they've already done it, and so it's just time for them to step up and kind of man up and just handle it, And I think those guys are doing that, and that's why you're seeing success for guys like Mac and Bradley out of the pen and Toby Twist and Ryan Featherston and guys like that. They're owning it, and they're not making this thing bigger than it really is. They understand it, they know they're good, and they're trusting their abilities, and I think it's really nice to see that development for those guys.
Mark Wasikowski, Oregon baseball head coach, getting the Ducks ready for a continuation of Big Ten play, coming off a series sweep at home. They're back at home with Northwestern, 4 o'clock on Friday, 2 o'clock Saturday, and noon on Sunday for Oregon baseball this weekend. Time out. When we come back, let's zero in on some football. Also, some honors for Oregon track and field and acrobatics and tumbling here on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
At Shadow Hills Country Club, we're more than just an award-winning golf course and practice facility. Our events team offers all-inclusive event pricing that allows us to take care of all the details while you enjoy your event. Our indoor and outdoor venues offer you a wide variety of fully staffed options that put the focus on you. From weddings to business and social events, at Shadow Hills Country Club Events Center, you get the benefits of a resort atmosphere and amenities in a peaceful country setting, just minutes from downtown Eugene. Call for a tour today or visit shadowhillsevents.com.
Hey Duck fans, at Country Financial, they make insurance easy. Whether you're shopping for home, auto, or more, their representatives will take the time to understand your specific needs and explain what options work best for you. Worry less and feel more confident knowing you're covered. Visit countryfinancial.com to get started today. Experience more with Country Financial. Auto and home insurance policies issued by Country Mutual Insurance Company, Country Preferred Insurance Company, and Country Casualty Insurance Company, Bloomington, Illinois.
Don't go anywhere. Duck Insider continues after these messages on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
My mom has taken up going to the park to practice yoga.
My dad's going to a club, but not a book club, a salsa club.
Finding new hobbies comes with age.
My mom has started getting lost and not knowing where she's going.
Becoming lost or disoriented doesn't. Confusion with time or place may be a sign of Alzheimer's. An early diagnosis can help improve the quality of life for your loved one. Learn the warning signs of Alzheimer's at 10signs.org. Brought to you by the Alzheimer's Association and the Ad Council.
Man, I love my kids so much. I once sat for 3 hours in the cold rain to watch her soccer team lose by 18 goals.
I love my kids so much, I once used a tube to suck snot out of her stuffed nose at 3 a.m.
You win.
Love your kids? Love them enough to make sure they're in the right car seat. From toddlers to tweens, visit nhtsa.gov/the right seat to find the right seat for their age and size. Keep them safe. Visit nhtsa.gov/the right seat. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Duck Insider, presented by OnPoint Community Credit Union. I'm Joey Mack in the Country Financial Studio. It is finals week at the University of Oregon, which means spring football practice is on a pause. The Ducks worked out a couple times before the finals week break and spring break here academically. Spring football will then continue here in a couple weeks around the University of Oregon. Meanwhile, though, Chris Hampton, Duck defensive coordinator, he was the co-DC last year, has elevated to the defensive coordinator now under Dan Lanning. He gave us some updates on what's been happening around Oregon football with Chris Hampton.
First off, Chris, just congratulations on the new role. What was today like? What's this week been like, kind of changing on a day-to-day, I guess? Does it feel different to you?
You know, it's not a whole lot. You know, the biggest thing is just organizing the staff and organizing the unit meetings and the install calendar. So just organizing the day-to-day operations with the players and the coaches. And other than that, I'm still coaching the position, still working with my guys, and just got a few more obligations, I guess.
You take over a defense that has been among the best in the nation over the past couple of years. How do you strike the balance between wanting to put your stamp on things and also not upset the apple cart?
Yeah, I think we can get better. You know, I think we can obviously grow, right? We haven't got to where we want to go. We've been good on defense, but we want to be elite. We want to be the best. We haven't been the best. We've been pretty good. So I think there's room for growth for sure. And so putting my stamp on it is really not about me. In my opinion, it's just about, you know, tapping into the players and putting the players in position and evaluating our talent and how can I utilize our talent and put guys in the right position to make plays, and how can we make the complex simple, do the things that put our best players in the field to do what they're good at and go make plays.
You had a previous relationship with Jaden Kennedy from your time at Tulane and brought him in to kind of play a specific role for the defense last year. Just how did the unique versatility of guys like him and Dylan on the defense last year shape the way you guys wanted to build this year's secondary?
Yeah, man, they were two really, really good players, great players. Like you said, position versatility. So we're doing it now. We're repping a bunch of different guys at different spots, and a lot of the young guys are doing, you know, dual training. We're playing left and right safety like we've always done in fall camp and in spring ball. We're repping a bunch of different guys at star to take the role that Jaden played last year, and I think the guys are catching on. We're trying to, you know, be conceptual teachers and be conceptual learners, so guys can remember. You don't have to remember just this is my job on this specific play. They can understand the concept, and if they understand the concept, they can play multiple positions within the defense.
What did you learn from the experience of kind of bringing together a new group in the secondary last year? What did you learn from that can kind of be expanded to the whole defense?
Yeah, I think, you know, every year is new, you know, especially in today's age of college football with the transfer portal. You have to be able to adapt and adjust. So that's each and every year. Now, if you can't adjust right now, you're gonna die as a coach, right? Because your team may change year to year. So I think, you know, last season we had to replace 5 starters. This year we've got a lot of guys coming back, but we lost a lot of guys as well. We've got a lot of youth that we've got to develop. So it's just starting over each and every year. Starting back over at square one, ground one, not assuming that anyone knows anything, and teaching the basics and the fundamentals, and then growing from there, teaching the concepts, and then we'll just gradually grow and add more to their plate as they can handle it.
Chris, you talked about being the best defense in the country. You brought all 4 defensive linemen back. Those guys could have been draft picks if they wanted to. What's the next step for them to become that, be one of the best defenses in the country? And then secondly, you just referenced it there too, that guys behind them, some new guys are going to be there because of departures or the additions. Just how you get that second group ready.
Yeah, I think all those guys came back with the opportunity and the expectation to get better. They all want to grow. They all could have went pro, like you said, and they all decided to come back for another season. I think they all believe that we have unfinished business as a team, and then they all have individual goals to improve themselves as players. So our job as coaches is to help them get to where they want to go, and then their job is helping us reach our goals and aspirations as a team. And so I think we're all on the right path of doing that. We've got a bunch of young guys we've recruited who played behind those guys the previous season. We've got a couple guys who brought out the portal, a few younger guys that we recruited like Tony Cumberland and Tank Jones. And those guys are getting better and better, each and every day. And how we practice is there is no starters. There's a green team, there's a yellow team. Everybody's divided up. So there's a freshman beside a sophomore, and a senior and a junior, and so on and so forth. There's not Mateo and Tatum on the same team. They're on different teams right now. And so guys are dual trained to learn a lot of different positions, and they're rotating different. There's a freshman going against Poncho, and so we're going to find out if he's good, quick. So that's what's going to happen in a real game, right? So we're throwing them in the fire, and they're actually learning pretty quick.
How do you look back on the year that Brandon had and all the success that he had, and what is the next developmental step for him this season?
Yeah, I mean, looking back at it with Brandon, and he and I did a study over the off season, and all we talked about was how can he get better. I think everybody in social media and everybody's patting him on the back of how great of a season he had, and he did. He had a great season, but there's a lot of room for growth for him, right? A lot of room for improvement. And Brandon's that type of kid. He wants to get better. He's not really talking about what I did last season. He's talking about what I didn't do. What was I not good at? How can I improve? And that's how you get better. Everybody likes talking about their strengths and what they're good about. But if you want to be elite, you got to master your weaknesses and work at your weaknesses. And he does that. So I think right now he's got a lot of room for growth. He's working at it. He's training extremely hard. He's a guy that you have to tell to back off a little bit. He can overdo it at times. So, but you rather say whoa instead of go. And so he's that type of kid, and he's getting better and better and better each and every day, and I think he's going to have another great season for us.
Sacks aren't everything, but clearly sacks dipped last year. What can you divulge in terms of what you guys want to do to generate maybe greater pass rush?
Yeah, I think that's why we brought in Rip. Coach Rip, Rip Rowan's going to do a fantastic job as a pass rush specialist, like helping us get better. We're talking about growth, with the players. How can we grow as a staff? And I think us bringing him in is going to add value to our staff, along with Coach Tony Tuiota, along with Cam Aragi, already 2 great, front 7 coaches, and we bring in Coach Rip, and I think we can get better in that area for sure.
Got a couple practices now, been able to see Jet Washington out there. What are your early impressions of him and what he can do kind of with that size, that frame?
He's obviously got a rare size speed combination. He's a guy that is, every bit of 6'5", and he looks the part for sure. Anyone that comes out there and sees him is like, God, that guy's huge. He's got the right mindset. He really does, man. I love this guy's mental makeup. He is infatuated with the details. He watches a lot of film on his own, asks a lot of great questions. He's a fast learner. I think he's going to have a very bright future here.
In terms of replacing Bryce, it's also the green dot of the defense. What's your philosophy of, are you identifying guys now, or are you training through a bunch of guys? What's the process of just finding?
Yeah, I think we've got 7 guys wearing the green dot right now. So we've got a bunch of people doing it, wearing the green dot. I think sometimes the green dot to me is a little bit overrated. Sometimes you can tell the player too much, and kind of confuse him. You want them to go out there and play. I don't want to be talking in his ear and confusing him. I want him to react and play off his instincts. So I'm just trying to give him quick tips, quick reminders, give him the call, let him play. Right, I've done all the coaching throughout the week. I don't want to be clogging his brain with just hollering in his ear and making him more confused.
Dan had talked earlier this week just about his process for getting assistant coaches ready. He said that he put you guys through you call it periods. I'm just curious, what does that look like from your side?
Yeah, that's what it is. He makes a lot of game-like situations throughout practice, which I love. Where it's not scripted. You have to call it and react, because that's what the game is. You're reacting to what happened, right? The offense, gains 10 yards, or you sack them and it's a loss of 5, whatever the case may be. They hit an explosive and it goes for 30. So that's good for me. You know, it's been a few years since I've called plays, since 2022. So I need to practice just like the players do. So the more call-up periods we do, the better for me.
Dan was talking the other day about how even though you guys have the veterans returning up front that you still need the depth behind them, and that guys like Nas Wyatt need to be able to kind of make an impact on the downs that aren't just pass rush downs. So what does success look like for guys like him and Elijah Rushing this spring as they try to be guys who can really supplement Mateo and Tatum off the edge next season?
Yeah, I think, you know, their job is to try to replace Mateo and Tatum. You know, they should go out there each and every day and say, I'm better than this guy, and I'm going to try to take his job. Right, so that's the mindset that I want them to operate with each and every day, that I'm going out here. I'm not going out here to be a backup to Tatum and Mateo. I'm going out here to replace Tatum and Mateo. Right, that's the mindset that they should have each and every day when they go out to practice. And if they have that mindset, we're going to be a really, really dangerous team, because when they're on the field, they're a starter. It's not when you put in another guy, oh, now they're twos are in. No, if you're on the field for Oregon, you're a one. Right, so I think that those guys know that there's room for growth for them. They're getting better each and every day. They're trying to get stronger. That's one of the big pieces for both of those guys, was getting stronger in the weight room. Those guys, both knowledge has tremendously improved, both Nas and Elijah Rush. And you're seeing those guys now communicate at an extremely high level. They're coaching the younger players now, and that's kind of a great thing to see. You got Tank and Tony, and you have Nas, you have Aiden Breland, you have Elijah Rush, and lining them up. And now we're doing that. We're doing pretty good. You know, because you used to have to line those guys up, right? And then they're lining up the other guys. So those guys have a lot of talent, a lot of ability, you know, and they just have to go play. And I think that we're all going to be satisfied with the results when they get out there from watching them working off season.
Cam Aragi is someone that's worked behind the scenes externally from the program. Internally, you guys know what he does. But what makes him so special at his job? What makes him qualified for you to promote him to the edge, and just makes him such a good coach? Yeah, Cam is like, you know, the glue of this program that a lot of people don't know about. You know, he works extremely hard. He is extremely passionate. He loves the players unconditionally. He really does. And he's extremely smart. He's a very, very talented coach. He actually has coached our edges for the last 2 years. You know, if I'm being quite honest, he's coached those guys and done a fantastic job with them. He's got really good players in his room. You know, it's a big part of it. You know, the better your players are, the better coach you're going to be. And he's pushing them each and every day. So I think we're excited for Cam. I'm happy that he got promoted, you know, to this position. And I think there'll be no drop-off. I think we'll just get better and better, and we'll continue to grow.
There's some high expectations for Naeem. He saw more of a role as last year went on. What have you seen from this offseason as he continues to grow and develop?
I think he's gaining more confidence. His IQ, like I said, of concepts has continued to grow. He's understanding, like, this is the concept. We're playing cover 2 in this defense, but I'm maybe man on my guy. Oh, but this is what everyone else is doing. Instead of just knowing I have this guy, but having no concept what's going on around you, right? So the more you know, the more valuable you are to the team, the more valuable you are to the organization. He's gotten stronger in the offseason. Coach Love and I was talking today earlier about his before and after pictures of how his body has changed. So he's gotten stronger. He's always had a very unique skill set. He has great ball skills, great COD. He's got great competitive toughness, and he's a great kid. He works extremely hard, but he's just growing in the system and understanding the concepts a lot better this year than he did last year.
You sounded pretty excited about the young edge guys. Do you feel the same way about some of these young inside linebackers?
Yeah, I do. I know a lot of guys are really worried about, you know, the inside linebackers. You know, we lost Bryce, but I mean, and Bryce was a fantastic player. Bryce started with me at safety when I first got here, and then we ended up moving him down to linebacker. But Bryce walked on the team, you know, and became Bryce Betcher. You know, so if you would have asked anyone in 2024 preseason about Bryce Betcher, nobody would have said Bryce Betcher would have been Bryce Betcher. He became Bryce.
He became Bryce Betcher. Chris Hampton, the Oregon defensive coordinator, meeting with the media. Timeout. When we return, some honors coming in for some different Oregon sports. Keep it here on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
As a local community credit union founded by teachers, OnPoint is committed to supporting the students and faculty at the University of Oregon. And on game day, we're right there with you, on the field, in the bleachers, and in the classrooms. Drop by one of your local branches today and discover the many ways OnPoint can help support your financial well-being. OnPoint Community Credit Union. People are the point. Federally insured by NCAA. Equal housing opportunity.
We know you turn to the Duck Store for all your game day needs. And for students at the University of Oregon, it's even more. Class supplies, jobs, a seat on our board, a place to take a quick coffee break. Because we're your student-first, non-profit college store, every purchase you make directly supports the very community we serve. From working at our counters to studying in the classroom, from directing our stores to cheering in the stands, the people we serve, the students, are the very people who are the Duck Store.
Back to the Country Financial Studios in 60 seconds. This is Duck Insider from Learfield.
Hear that? That's the sound of your life. Perfectly imperfect. Beating in rhythm to the world you've created. But every time you drive after drinking, the music gets drowned out. Your life sounds pretty great. Don't let a buzz ruin it. Buzz driving is drunk driving. Don't drive buzzed. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
When you're high, you feel different. You think different, you talk different, you draw different, you listen to music different, but you probably knew that. Problem is, you also drive different, and not in a good way. That's why driving high is illegal everywhere. So if you're high, just don't drive. Make a plan to get a sober ride. Because if you feel different, you drive different. Brought to you by NHTSA and the Ad Council.
I'm coming home to the place that I remember. Back to the land of my first love. Would you spread wide your arms for this wayward son? I left my
Final segment of Duck Insider this week with the NCAA tournament for men's and women's basketball coming up. We always take Thursday and Friday off because there's usually travel and we don't know where everyone's going to be. And in that circumstance, the Oregon women's team in action at 10:30 a.m. Pacific time on Friday, televised on ESPN2. Oregon women's basketball in March Madness, an 8-9 matchup between the Ducks and Virginia Tech. Meanwhile, this weekend, beach volleyball is at home for Senior Day on Friday. It's the only home matchup for beach volleyball this year. The way the schedule worked out with the construction continuing on campus with the new beach volleyball facility, the construction's underway. It's the only home matchup of the year on Friday. GoDucks.com with more details. Senior Day coming up for Oregon beach volleyball. Sophomore base Angelica Martin was named the NCAA Specialist of the Week after an outstanding performance in the acro event, helping the Ducks to a win over number 4 Iona. Oregon is heading on the road now for acrobatics and tumbling, and head coach Taylor Susnara. Good scheduling. They're going to spend spring break in Hawaii. Good scheduling. Good scheduling. Also of note, for Oregon track and field, the Women's Indoor Track Athlete of the Year, Wilma Nielsen. Congratulations to Wilma. The Men's Indoor Freshman of the Year, Ben Smith, the big freshman of the year. And then Lisa Maria Lusti, the NCAA Track and Field Pentathlon champion, the big women's indoor freshman of the year. Congratulations to the Ducks. Best of luck to Oregon women's basketball in postseason. Chris Clayton, 10 a.m. pregame show Friday. See ya.
I'm Chris Jakimick. I served in the United States Air Force, and I deployed 3 times. Being a veteran, it's interwoven into your DNA. It's really the absence of the connection and the purpose that can really drive a lot of veterans to some negative thoughts. For those who are